Take me back to Janky Town. I wanna get back to Janky Town.
Like I feel like
Yeah.
there's a reason why people in rehab are like no one looks down at them when they chain smoke cigarettes because it's like,
Yeah.
well, you're not like mainlining
Yeah.
heroin. This is clearly an improvement.
And that's a big one that I think my therapist will bring up a lot is like, just look at, you're doing pretty well. And like, look at the things you have done and be happy with that, So I try to just be happy
Gratitude.
with what I got. Gratitude.
Yeah, Janky do Thanky. I mean, it's like it's amazing how that to me that's the single biggest word that I find has cross sections in many different Venn diagrams. Like you can apply that word in so many different directions of why it's good because like just it changes everything. If you're just thankful for what you have, everything about your mindset changes. Like it completely
very quickly
flips on its end.
Yeah.
Because instead of like all this surface level beating yourself up, you're never maybe really getting to the root of anything, which is you feel like that you're always sort of been. It's funny because even though you like kind of hate yourself, like a lot of times you are at the same time that you hate yourself, you're also seeing yourself as like a victim, right?
Yeah, sure.
And then those two things just like swirl together in this horrible
and then you're like then you start going
darkness.
There's a cycle there where you go, oh, you're just playing a victim,
right? Yeah, and then you beat yourself up for playing the victim.
And that's when there's a technique that some therapists taught me is thought dropping. So it's like thought cycles. Okay, well this thought's leading to this thought, and then it's spiraling. I'm spiraling.
Yep.
He took a pen and just try to drop that thought, bring your attention back to right here, your senses. Work on that mindfulness stuff.
Yep. Take a
of being
shit.
in your body. Take
let
a
that
shit.
duty
Step 3.
Go into the toilet and let that spiral.
Thank you for bringing it back there because I don't want to get too much on my therapy horse. But
toilet. Therapy horse sounds like another word for toilet.
Giddy up.
Go climb upon my therapy horse.
Hi-ho silver away.
Go get some catharsis.
I do want to talk about toilets.
Please.
Because for the listener, the Jankytown toilet is it's a nice soft pink with a wooden seat.
Yeah, it's a nice. I think it's like a 92 Kohler. I forget what that model is, but they made a ton of them, and they're just real nice, reliable.
Do you have like an origin story with toilets and why it became so fascinating to you?
That's like you're just throwing me a fastball right down the center of the plate. I do have an origin story, and it sounds almost too good to be true, but it's not. Which is that my wonderful, wonderful mother, shout out to Wendy,
who I met, by the way.
Oh yeah, you have met her?
She was an election inspector. So
she was. Yeah, nice. Well, I'll say hi.
She was great.
She'll probably see the episode.
Yeah.
She watches a lot of them.
Nice.
So, bless her heart, she saved like a lot of the little artwork I did when I was a younger child, and she has this picture of like this painted stripes. It's like orange and purple, and I think it's orange, mostly orange and purple, and maybe blue.
Yeah.
Toilet, and on the back of it says like circa 1991, which would mean I would be like 4 or 5 years old. So and I'm pretty sure I know where that flame colorway or color scheme came from too, because I think I had this book on like hot rod cars, and there was this car with purple and orange and blue flames on it. I'm putting that together now, but
this is a drawing you made of a toilet?
Yeah, just a little tiny drawing. So I call that like my Rosetta Stone, because that's like, and then fast forward 25, 28 years later, I'm living in Buffalo for like the 4th time. Shout out to Buffalo. It's like my home away from home.
Nice.
And I was going through like an extreme like music nadir. Like I basically finished
like NADIR.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
I think it's like the pit, the bottom, like the me with my words.
That's a nice one. I like that.
So I had released I'd finished like an album that I worked really, really hard on for a long, long, long time, just like sitting in my room listening over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Got some like guest people to play on it, blah blah blah. And I was for the first time in my life really like kind of like playing open mics, getting out there, meeting people, doing stuff, like trying to like do the thing, you know, like solo and not like in a band or anything like that.
That's cool.
But also part of that is I was like, I had this painting job, but I was just like kind of wearing myself real thin, like staying out super, super late. And when you're involved in the music scene, as you know, like it just, especially in bigger cities, like it just involves a lot of staying up really late and being involved or just being surrounded by people just like consuming every possible vice they can get their hands on. And it's so easy to just get like, even, I mean, it was like, I wasn't even that, it wasn't some like story about, oh, I was like so fucked up and like I've like never done cocaine in my life. But I was just like, you know, even just like a moderate level of just having fun or taking part in it. And then also like you just see people like while you're doing this, you see other people doing it who are in a worse spot than you are, and you're seeing them, you're seeing really, really talented people that are just like going through the motions and much more into the extracurriculars than they are. And then you see really good bands that don't have any motivations to tour, and then you just this, I mean, you know, what can you say about, and then the comedy scene in Buffalo, at least the open mic comedy scene that I was going to, was like the darkest fucking shit like ever.
I'm
like
sure.
It was just like,
were you doing stand up?
No, I never did stand up. But I always thought about trying to do stand up.
Yeah, right.
But,
me too.
Really?
Yeah, I considered it, but
I think you'd be good at it.
Yeah.
Stand up's like that's a commitment though, if there ever was one.
Seems like a hellish landscape.
Yeah, I mean, like, not everyone becomes Joe Rogan.
No. Very few of us get to be blessed. We just need to do a little more DMT.
I love that's...
We were joking about that because someone brought up Joe, and I was like, yeah, that's the one thing he does every day. Or I don't know. It's like, yeah, it's the main thing people think about every day.
Yeah, no, it's just funny that... Well, that's what's funny about being
the joke of
being shorthanded. Yeah, like if you're going to shorthand him, it's like DMT.
DMT fighting guy.
Yeah. And I don't know. I guess basically just like DMT. I'm sure there's some other ones in there too.
He is great.
Yeah, I feel like he's almost in it like, well, obviously he's doing all right, but I feel like there's a certain contingent of people that don't really dislike him, and I feel like sometimes you need to defend him, and I wouldn't even defend him from a point of being like one of his biggest fans. I just think like from like
a nuanced opinion,
8 millionth person to say this, but just like having someone who is like, just the fact that he wouldn't be that special if there was more places to have an honest conversation for a length of time in a public space.
Right.
I'll put it that way. You know, like.
Yeah.
So, anyways, but
you were talking about Buffalo and your.
God, you're so good. Like, you're so good at remembering my chapter breaks, and this is the downfall of me too, is that I can never remember.
I'm tracking them a little bit.
This is great. This is so helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness, will be the most cohesive episode yet. Yes, thank you. So so I was getting involved in the music scene in Buffalo, and it was very cool. Met great people, loved it. Still like keep in touch with some people and follow other people, and like, you know, it's Bold Folly and Diamond Dave and Modeling Factory, all these like great places. Green Schwinn, obviously, that Twin, great group. But so I was getting to a burnout point, essentially, to make a short story long.
Sure.
Then like one day I just sort of happened to notice that there were these like toilets like being left on the side of the road, and I guess this is fairly normal, and I don't know if Buffalo's different, but Buffalo, there's just like always toilets on the side of the road. I don't know, maybe that's like just a thing about Buffalo. I know in some towns they have Big Garbage Day, which is like once a month they'll have like Big Garbage Day, where it's like it's like anything though. It's not just like it's like you can put anything out there. It's like Big Garbage
that's nice.
Day. So there was like, shout out to Trashley, our friend Trashley, who somehow I think embraces that name, but her name's
Is he from
Ashley.
around here?
It's a woman. She's from New
sorry.
Jersey. No,
Gotcha.
she's the greatest. But she went on a run, and we called it the toilet run because she ran for like 3 miles, and she saw like 14 toilets or something
Wow.
like that. 'Cause they're all. So there was a high concentration of toilets on the side of the road, and it was at that time that I started to, one, pick them off the street and haul them into my apartment like a crazy person.
That's great.
And but also I started to really pay attention to them and notice all the nuances in design. I started to see them as a piece of artwork as opposed to like just. And I think what I'm getting to with the picture is I think this was sort of latent or nascent within me
Mm-hmm.
for a long time, and then it kind of like made its way up to the surface.
Yeah.
And then that became for the next like 3 years of my life probably like one of my singular focuses was painting toilets.
Yeah.
And then since then I've like started to branch out a little bit and I started making music again, and I started my business in earnest, my painting business. And the podcast and all that, but the toilets were definitely like, it sounds like cheesy to say, but they were like a very large major turning point like in my life.
Yeah, I think it's, I don't like to speak like a record executive or something, but it's great branding to be like the toilet guy, because I don't know that I've met someone else who's like into toilets as much, and I love it.
I'm very into I have a very strange relationship with marketing and advertising, but I'm definitely a student of it.
Yeah.
I mean, my degree was in media studies.
Oh, okay.
Which now more than ever seems like a really, really prescient, like I'm really glad that I studied that, because it got into like film and film analysis, but also the way things are presented to us in a media landscape, which we're we're just in a saturated environment.
And all that media is mixing, so it's good to know about all of it.
Yep. But I do have I actually love the idea of like a brand.
Yeah.
And
I think you've got a great one. I think it's very admirable.
Thank you. I think I'm Janky do Thanky, I should say, if I want to stay on brand. Our brand has its own mantra.
That's great.